Welcome back. After a very interesting inaugural session, now we are starting with the next session, and this session will be on technological framework for safe and secure cities. I welcome the panelists on stage. I'll start with the session chair, Shri S. Suresh Kumar, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Please have a big applause for our session chair. I also welcome Shri Sanjay Sahay, Additional Director General of Police, State Crime Record Bureau, SCRB, Karnataka. A big applause for our panelists. Shri R.C. Tayal, Additional Director General, Sashastra Seema Bal, SSB. Shri Purshottam Sharma, Additional Director General of Police, Bhopal. A big applause for sir. Dr. P.N. Ramesh, Inspector General of Police and Director, Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF Academy. Shri Prem K. Gautam, Superintendent of Police, Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI. And lastly, Shri Rohit Bhambri, Director, Cyber and Intelligence, NICE Systems. A big applause for our speakers. With this, I hand over the session to the session chair, Shri S. Suresh Kumar. Sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The topic technological framework was labeled secure cities. It's a requirement currently because most of the states are looking towards having a safe and secure cities by using some of the models which are available in the West. We also did go through an exercise of trying to find out what is best. In fact, we also had a conference of the US metropolitan cities police chiefs a month or two back. Must have been present there when the conference happened. The cities like London, Paris, Vienna, USA, other cities of USA do have fairly extensive systems in position to understand what is the requirement for a safe and secure city. Since this idea is a novelty in India, it's still not understood the extent it ought to have been. The current initiatives that have happened are very, at a small level, at a very pilot level, or have not been a part of an overall holistic approach. Some cities have done an ITS and left it at that. Some cities have done a little bit of CCTV monitoring of the markets like Delhi and left it at that. Now, until unless all of these elements fit into a larger whole, it is not going to make any much progress, or it's not going to give you the value that the investment is going to give. It's a huge challenge. We still need to grapple with it, and I don't think we have cheap cameras available, unlike the West. Most of the cameras which come into India are probably heavily taxed. Custom duty is more than 25 to 30%. And requirement of cameras for the CCTV surveillance is enormous. A city like Delhi would require alone maybe a few 100,000 cameras. But this is a requirement, this is a necessity, and as events do tell us, like what happened in Patna or in a place like Sahay, etc., prevention is always the best means of preventing terror. And our cities are expected to grow. In fact, by another 10 years maximum, we should be having close to 60 to 70% of our population living in cities, which is a huge, humongous figure. Now, until unless, and since all these cities are going to be definitely major drivers of our economy, the overall sense of peace, security, safety has to be ensured to the citizens. And until unless you have a proper surveillance system which assures people that yes, preventive activity would be predominant, it would definitely be a bit of a dampener for economic activity. We have really, I would say, pioneers who worked on a lot of these aspects in our panel today. Mr. Sanjay Sahay has been in the IT, working on this system like for a very long time. Mr. Tayal is here from SSB. Mr. Sharma is an expert on IFRS and other related issues. Mr. Ramesh has been my good friend as well as my colleague in West Bengal. Mr. Kumar is here. Mr. Rohit, Bhambri. Now, I think it would be best that we start in a sequence. I would request Mr. Sanjay Sahay to start his presentation. I think we can make it short. How much time would you require? 10 plus 5 plus.
Right. It's like a delayed start of an avalanche, you know. You have to catch up.
Good morning, friends. Chairperson of this technical session on technological framework for safe and secure cities, Shri Suresh Kumar, Joint Secretary, Central State Minister of Home Affairs, my esteemed panel members and friends. I've addressed this gathering long time back, I think 2-3 years back, and after that I've not had the occasion to address this SecureIT. Over the last few years, a lot of developments have taken place. A lot of things got consolidated, which was there in our mind. It was not consolidated. And as the chairperson of the technical session has already elaborated that we are still in a nascent stage and we ought to go a long way. Besides being in a nascent stage, we still don't have a technological framework on which we can take the country along on a very, very simple, cogent, clear-cut, precise counter-terrorism mechanism. The difference which you have seen between 9/11 and 26/11, I think it is pretty well known. Post 9/11, which is supposed to be a watershed in modern human history, we saw the administrative integration of nearly 23 departments finally ending up in the creation of Department of Homeland Security in October 2002. And henceforth, with the enactment support of Patriot and Stafford Acts, we are where we are. And the only exception to whatever can be an excellent tribute to Department of Homeland Security in the US has been the Boston bombings, and that also the way they reacted, responded, and they were able to get onto things has been something very, very commendable. In a different manner, our response has been totally different. Now why, can I have this godless mic? Why US has been able to respond in the manner it did and we have responded in the manner we do is precisely for the same reason that the background, the back-end processes were in place when the 9/11 incident took place. So they decided that working on silos did not serve the purpose, and integration of these 23 databases broadly on the large scale and any number of data structures below, that integration was very, very critical and crucial to the system which they envisaged. Added to that, the new technologies like geospatial technology, there's a GeoConOps, there's a complete exercise on how geospatial technology supports all the operations which we imagine, visualize, and we execute. If 9/11 has been the biggest negative example of usage of digital technology in this world, then the Abbottabad operation has been the single biggest positive demonstration of digital technology in this world. You take it from radar, you bring it to anywhere. When the man shoots at the guy and takes a permission from the White House, this is what technology can deliver. Nonetheless, it's people, process, and technology. So that That linear progression has remained, will always remain. So we're talking about the back-end processes, back-end databases, the thought processes, the integration. So US was at a state of what we call as a plug-and-play mechanism on 9th of September 2001. We are still not a state of plug-and-play mechanism. We can put any number of policies in place, we can put any number of directives in place, but if we are not able to generate the data which we aspire of, which we are desirous of, and play around with the data, what we talk in terms of predictive policing, we talk in terms of pattern analysis, we talk in terms of big data. Big data is a fanciful word. Nonetheless, it is also a very real word. So we have to bridge the gap between the reality from the tangible, from the intangible to the tangible. So our technological framework for safe and secure cities has to be crystal clear. And this is with this intention that I prepared this presentation, and this presentation is based on a concept paper which was initiated in the year, I think 2011 in FICCI, and has gone through a lot of criticism, agreement, disagreement, and finally has reached a level of consolidation where there is no dissent at this particular point in time that this will be able to sort out nearly 80-90% of the issues. It is not exhaustive, it is neither exhaustive nor illustrative in nature. Nonetheless, it is functional and has the capability to deliver what the Indians are desirous of. So Homeland Security is the philosophy, blueprint and future of policing globally. It is not picked up from anywhere. This is my statement. And first initiated in FICCI conference here in Delhi itself. It has by now gained huge amount of momentum. 9/11 has been a watershed in human history. What changed with 9/11 is the perception of the nature of organization, the usage of technology, the responses, the consolidation of activities and spread of mechanism needed to thwart the ever-growing terrorism the world over. The faster you understand, the easier it is to respond. The faster you understand that everything works on a technological framework. Policies, access, privileges, the combinations of policies, combinations of technology and your capability to have an aggressive stance all depends on your expertise, your skills and your capability to play around whatever is given to you. We have natural resources in abundance. We have not been able to play around with those natural resources, and we are where we are. So this is what changed after 9/11. We have a megacity policing since the year 2005, and the megacity policing basically fixed our whole focus of Indian police on 7 megacities: Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Ahmedabad. And from there emanates our whole thought process that these megacities and the vital installations, the criticals in those megacities are the criticals of the nation. They affect the economic growth of this country. I think 40-50,000 crores we lost on 26/11, and also it is a direct attack on the sovereignty of this nation. So from this megacity, it went on for 5-6 years, finally got subsumed into modernization of police forces scheme, and it is being operated under the modernization of police forces scheme. Connecting the city would be a national network, and it will be easy to return to normalcy. There are still gaping holes in the technology, and basic issues related to execution, back-end process and robustness is still a big question mark. So there is a need for a technological framework for safe and secure cities. The technological framework which I initiate is command and control centers, interception system, city-wide video surveillance system. And then you have the TETRA, terrestrial trunk radio, geospatial technology, ERP, RDBMS, and integration of legacy systems. So we start with the command and control center. So it's broadly integration of radio, video, text, images, graphic through a command and control software. C4I has been a standard command and control center mechanism across the globe. The C4I started with command, control, computer. Now the computer has changed over to computing. So it's computer and or computing and communication. And C4I started with interoperability, when interoperability was a great issue. It was supposed to be a technical challenge, it was supposed to be a bottleneck, it was supposed to be insurmountable. Now interoperability is no issue at all. So interoperability has changed to intelligence, or interoperability and or intelligence. So this is broadly the type of command and control center we are looking for, a creation of a C4I command and control system. Sorry. Moving on to the interception system, what NSA has been doing, all of us are aware of. We don't intend to replicate what NSA has been doing, not we have the capability to replicate whatever they have been doing. So that's a different story altogether, but certainly we should have a capability to monitor and penetrate any mode of communication, any mode of storage, based on the policies, the laws, under which we operate. It need not necessarily be that if we are not getting into the large scale interception systems, whatever little interceptions we are doing, there we are completely aligning to the laws and rules as applicable. So it should also be on a real-time basis, and upgradation and scalability has to be inbuilt. So until it is done on a real-time basis, and that gets connected to all our databases. There's an attack in Denmark, which was available, the whole thing was available on Facebook 6 hours before the attack took place. What you can generate out of the information on the public domain is just unimaginable. We know people who can write scripts on Facebook and can give you details which are unimaginable, and when we talk of privacy and confidentiality, as they say, it is already in the public domain, there is no issue of privacy and confidentiality, and by no law of the land you will be able to catch them. So broadly, your understanding of the whole data and whole data process and the connects of your functionality and of the technology is what will take you to places, and not a very ideal ready-made copybook solution. There cannot be a ready-made copybook solutions in this world ever. And that is why with best of the capability from 2006 to around 2011, they took around 6 years for intelligence collection. Then adapt and align and put the technology in consonance with the requirements, and finally from a technology wherein you basically make the radars non-functional to a technology of DNA profiling. Literally any technology in this world has been used in the Abbottabad operation to near perfection. Regarding video surveillance, the less said the better. The word lives on video surveillance is something like a metro rail all across the globe, but the quality of what we provide here, there and everywhere. So it depends on whatever utility you get. The best of the evidence possible in most of the terror attacks across the globe has been through video surveillance, has been through CCTV network, but there is a world of a difference between a CCTV network and city-based video surveillance system with video analytics. We don't have it in any country. We don't have it in any city in this country. Place like London and Moscow, I think they have cameras ranging between 50,000 to 1 lakh. Suffice to say that in a place like Bangalore, to which I belong, I think all the CCTV networks which are already available, if that can be connected into a bigger network which government controls on basis of access and privileges, I'm confident of the fact that we will be able to cover around 35-40% of the area which we intend to, and also cover around 35-40% of the threat perception, or 35-40% of the supposed targets of the terrorist attack. I'll just add a simple point when we're talking about counter-terrorism, is that there's something called a security audit, and the capability of the security audit of the installations which are likely to be attacked and our response is somewhere directly proportional. So technology for CCTV networks, inbuilt video analytics, and it's a deterrent and a must. What I intend to project is that the 7 cities, intra-city and intercity, gets integrated into a national network, which I call as the Integrated City-Based Video Surveillance National Network. Or national, I think, has come later, it should come in the beginning. Nonetheless, this is what I intend as a conceptual level, wherein at a national command center, you'll be able to literally see whatever is happening on different parameters. Next is the Tetra Radio Network. Tetra Radio Network is terrestrial plan radio. It is parallel to GSM, created by the same European Technological Union, and has been successful in nearly around 7 countries. It failed in Commonwealth Games, and Tetra still eludes India. That's the only public safety network which can be successful and which will be successful. It is a matter of time. We are not accustomed to creating integrated systems. We can buy TVs, we can buy cameras, we can buy computers, we can buy servers, we can buy whatever. But the point is creating an integrated system. That becomes extremely difficult for Indian vendors and Indian MNCs, and we also don't have the skills to create that sort of a system that you have a terrestrial trunk radio network. One India, one Tetra, one Tetra, one India. So that is what we intend to create. At least 7 cities can be on one single network. One single equipment can take care of around 45,000 users or customers or whosoever. It was extremely successful in Beijing Olympics. Correct. Geospatial technology is the third eye. It is the highest end of GIS. It is an imagery which is unimaginable. With 35 resolution, I think we literally find out where you guys are seated. And thermal imaging can help anti-satellite operations in a big way. I'll not like to comment anything on that. But it is a technology which can certainly completely change the way we look at the problem and the way we would respond to the problem. Correct. So this is the terrestrial trunk radio public safety network led by the police. It has got all the different stakeholders, disaster management, medical and the like. As a complete integration of all communication. It is any gadget to any gadget. It is literally any gadget to any mode of communication, data, SMS, photo, graphics, whatever you name it, the high quality voice, data and other inputs. So Tetra eludes India, as I told you earlier. Geospatial technology is where the conventional inputs, we don't get the actionable data. It will provide you the actionable data. It is critical to planning, preparation and response. There has been good usage of geospatial technology in the armed forces, on the defense side, but in the internal security, very little we use. So that is where we are stuck up, and I think not only a normal dose, the overdose of geospatial technology would help a large part of our constraint of resources and our capabilities to deliver. It's a great tool for regulation, enforcement, monitoring and supervision. So this is the ERP. ERP, when I wrote this ERP, or talking about ERP, this has got something called a police IT, which is an ERP solution. Over the last 2 years in discussions on this Homeland Security Initiative, I finally realized that the Homeland Security architecture will take things like our complete ERP, that is the police IT. It will also take care of the land grid project. It will also take care of all these command and control systems I'm talking about. And based on this, you will come to a Homeland Security architecture. US also does not have a Homeland Security architecture as of now. There is something which is at the stage of vision. And that vision, we will have to take it further. RDBM is all know. But we should not miss out on the intellectual property which we have created over the legacy systems. And that is what we are talking when we talk about integration. Where the biggest catch, if you are able to do a couple of these things which on the technology side, managerial response to war on terror is a big gap. It talks about the huge gaps in learning skills, human resources should outmatch the technical system. Technical systems today are complex and we have to outmatch, which finally means utility is how best we utilize. Utility is what we derive. The systems are there, the databases are there, lot many things are there. Innovative methods of outbound learning and change management, differential levels of technologies and differential levels of mental frames. So this is where we stand. These 6 technologies, how do we integrate? So we have a command and control center of the 7 cities, at a command and control center for the nation, command and control for the nation, and you have for all the 6 technologies, interception system, video surveillance, for Tetra, geospatial, and for Homeland Security architecture, and finally all of them integrating into what I call as the National Homeland Security Research Base and Incident Support System. So this is what we aspire of. The beginning of grandiose plans set to have a transformational impact on the Homeland Security scenario of the country is yet to be made. The world's best buildings were a blueprint a day. A blueprint is the first to crystallize our thoughts and to take a large number of revisions. Nonetheless, it has to start. Time is running out. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, thanks to Sanjay. He's done a pretty good job of outlining what the architecture would be. Next would be Mr. Tayal. That should be Seema.
Good morning, friends. I will make some observations which I believe I collected over the years of service on put in police. It's not a formal lecture plan, but I think it will be interesting to know. When 9/11 took place, I was working in Bureau of Civil Aviation Security in Government of India. At that time, security industry this IT in security, it was not very prevalent in India, and our approach mainly was on deployment of, engagement of manpower. After 9/11, we had a number of foreign companies from US, Israel, from Europe, number of such companies visiting Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, as this agency was mainly responsible for security of airports in India. Lot of solutions were suggested. Number of presentations were made. Some progress was also made in utilizing state-of-art technology for security systems in our country. After that, we decided to replace state police organizations from airports with CISF. There was a change of guard at our airports. Now the issue at that time was we had not changed our mindset. I'm talking of 2004-2005 when CISF was being deployed at Indian airports. Our approach still was that every point at the airport, every point at an establishment, it should be covered by asking a man to stand there, by asking a constable or a head constable or an officer to stand there. And we were in a situation where at an airport, there were 2 flights during 24 hours and security agencies were asking for 200 persons to be deployed there. No use of technology. Fortunately, the things have changed now, but not to the extent it should have happened. Even now, if you go to the airport, you will find the security man, he doesn't look at the security gadget. He has more faith in his hands. I'm not saying that human effort is not important. What I'm saying is, while deploying technology, we must integrate human effort with technology. Otherwise, our systems will not become effective. Now, as previous speaker has said that a lot of security systems are available, we need to deploy this. There is no doubt about it. If not today, after 10 years. There is no other option. But equal focus must be on developing our human caliber. And these caliber need to be developed not at my level, at the level who is using this technology. The constable, the sub-inspector, he needs to know the use of this technology. So this is about the security systems. Luckily, I am happy to note that we are progressing, things are happening, technology is being introduced, our mindset is changing. That is the biggest achievement, and that I need to focus. Now, coming to, yes, one more thing I would like to tell you. When 9/11 took place, lot of people from TSA or US they call it, a department which looks after security there. Lot of people from their security agencies, they used to visit us. Before 9/11, they used to take us very lightly, the way we were doing security at our airports, because our system was basically with use of hands. But after 9/11, You will be surprised to know that the US started the same system at their airports, and even today they are doing frisking, searching of the persons with their hands, with the security persons are doing with their hands. So it's not like that our systems were totally useless. We were working in an archaic manner. There was merit in our systems. To again substantiate it, I will tell you another thing, another example, very interesting. At Srinagar airport, it is our security system which is working even today at Srinagar airport, which has saved this airport. It is a good mix of technology and deployment of manpower. And sometimes in civil aviation security, we used to wonder how we have been able to secure this airport for so long. Till now, no terrorist element has been able to reach the airport. It's not a small success, and it's all because of the system which we made a mix of technology and our own experience. So technology need to be mixed up with which we already have, and gracefully change mindset of our security personnel. Now, coming to third part, policing in states. Real policing in our country takes place at the police station. And it is at this place we need to introduce technology. We need to integrate our police systems, our police personnel working at Thana level with the technology. At times what happens, when we want to introduce technology, we don't do the homework, we don't tie up the nitty-gritties. What an impression is given is that introduction of the technology leads to increase of work at the Thana level. Already you don't have sufficient manpower at Thana level. If you look at the number of police personnel in India per 1 lakh of population, it is one of the lowest in the world. And if we don't integrate technology, if we don't devise our methods properly, what happens? You land up with increasing the work at Thana level. The people are already overburdened, and that leads to frustration and rejection of your technology. So, what I will like to emphasize is that we must make use of the technology, but we must integrate it with the skills which we have at our Thana levels, at our border post level, at our airports where the security personnel are doing it. And it's only then we will be able to build up confidence of our men, confidence of the society in our security systems, and also we will be able to move forward, and gradually the mindset which is there that what I am doing is the best, and that this technology and all these things are just talk in the air. This mindset will change. Thank you.
Any question? Okay. I would now request Mr. Purshottam Sharma to give his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Chair, Mr. Suresh, all my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to speak on safe and secure cities. Whenever these two words, safe and security, comes, we always think of the society should be free of criminals, it should be free of crimes, isn't it? So when we talk about crime and criminals, what is the most important challenge for us? Important challenge for us is that the criminal should be identified and they should be tracked. I will be speaking on these two aspects. One is a tracking, another is a identification. And please permit me to be offbeat. I will not be making PowerPoint presentation. I'll be telling you how the tracking system has been evolved under CCTNS, which is a mission critical project under Mr. Suresh Kumar ji. So we will be talking on biometrics based, and that is a fingerprint biometrics. When I was involved as a nodal officer under CCTNS program, I did an in-depth study of all the states in country and found out that the biometric systems by which the digitization of fingerprint is done in the state has been in a very, very poor state. Let me give you an example. My own state of Madhya Pradesh has got a biometric system called AFIS. A stands for Automated Fingerprint Identification System. We have got the 300,000 digital data available. Now here, let me tell you a success story. There's a place called Narsinghpur in our Madhya Pradesh, which is nearly 250 kilometers from Bhopal, and there's another place called Indore, which is diagonally opposite, is another 200 kilometers from Bhopal. So the distance between two places are nearly 450 to 500 kilometers. The murder took place in a Narsinghpur district, and we didn't have any clue. We could only find out one latent print, very smudged latent print. I called a meeting of all my fingerprint experts. I said this is a challenge. Because this is a crime, heinous crime, wherein we have found out a smudged latent print. We used that particular system for our benefit, and we found out one match. But to everyone's surprise, the match was found out wherein the criminal was there in Indore. And not even a DG, not even a SP was agreeing to my report. They say it is not possible. How can a person who is inside the jail can commit a crime there in Narsinghpur? I say, please check it, this is my result. And the result has come from a device, a fingerprint identification system which is most authentic. Okay, so they agreed. The team was constituted and sent to Indore for interrogation. To our surprise, we found out that this person was left on parole for good conduct, had gone to the village Narsinghpur, committed a crime and came back to the jail. And he confessed it. So this is what I am saying. What is the most important today is identification, and second is to tracking the criminals. Now this is a very small area which I have called about Madhya Pradesh, but when we talk about pan-India level, the challenge become a huge task for me. On the basis of my study, we constituted a team, and Mr. Suresh Kumar ordered a team which is called the TEC, and I was made a chairman for biometrics devices, and we did a study. We found out that still there are 12 states which do not have a FS system even today. We found out wherever the FS system is existing, that system is not even functioning properly. State like Maharashtra, there is no handshaking between Pune and Mumbai. In Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh, there is not even a data transfer between two states having the same system. There are many flaws which I found out. These are the operational flaws. Then I studied what are the technological flaws. I found out the systems were having many technical flaws. Something like a sequence validation. What a sequence validation means, there has to be a sequence. It starts from thumb, goes from this finger, middle finger, and small finger. That sequence has to be validated by the system. Even that system was not there, and it was not operable. And when the fingerprint is there, the two fingerprints are not being matched because of the protocol conflict. It was a massive, massive challenge to integrate all states. Because unless we integrate the state, we cannot make safe India. So we did a fairly in-depth study. How we did the study? First is we found out all the challenges which are there before us as on date. Then we called all the leading vendors in country and outside also to come and let us know what is the technology they have and what system they have employed, even in FBI, even in Interpol. We studied all those systems and then dovetailed these systems, and we came out a system which is called as a NAFIS today. NAFIS stands for National Automated Fingerprint Biometric System. That system will be coming to SCRB, and we will be integrating the whole pan-India, so even the criminal which runs away from the southern can be tracked to the northern area in real-time basis. How we did that? We have given a fingerprint enrollment device called FED or a line scanner, whatever we can call it, to all the police stations. We have made a provision. And wherever the criminal is arrested, his fingerprint will be enrolled and seamlessly it will be transferred to all the states and the NCRB. So even if he is caught at some places, his complete background, his complete criminal record will be displayed to each and every police station. That's how we have envisaged of tracking the criminals in our country. And now the challenge is that okay, it looks very good by saying, but how do we go for a technology when all other states have got a different systems? Now coming to the question that we have to integrate all the states. So what we did is we go for a standardization, and we have followed the highest standard, which is called as a NIST standard. NIST standard is being followed worldwide, and it has been followed by Interpol and FBI. So what we did is we made each and every aspect of that functioning or that process to be standard. Now what is a functioning? Let me tell you, the total biometric solution application is one of the most complicated software which we have. Most complicated application, because what fingerprint we see as a photo is a template. Well, unless we have a software by which we can extract, encode the minutiae, and that extraction of the minutiae is being decoded and studied for a matching, unless we have got a matching algorithm of a very high standard, we cannot achieve the result. So what I did is, I followed the international system for encoding and matching algorithm both. And we made it mandatory that who have got a certification for encoding and matching algorithm will be allowed. And whoever has got a system in the state which is a bad, he has to convert that system to this standard. So all states are interlinked, and my own system is of world-class system. Now this is basically a process. But unless you have a database, this will not be of any use. So there are two challenges which I had. One is the paper-based fingerprint. So when I did a study for the paper-based, I found out that the quality of the paper-based was very, very poor. At times it was very difficult to extract. So we did two things. One is backlog data conversion. Whatever best we have, we just permitted for a conversion, and we made it mandatory that now henceforth, once the system comes in place, we will have FED devices at all police stations which will enroll the fingerprint having the digital quality, which will be the best of the quality, and they will be of the same standard. Whether you go to the police station in Indore or you go to the police station in Chennai, you will have the same quality standard of 500 PPI resolution. Now comes to the conflict of protocols. The conflict of protocol, how we have resolved? What we did is, we studied the NIST format and we picked up the field which under the CCTNS is required for our database. And we made it a mandatory for all the state to have a demographic detail under this format. So it becomes the same for all the state, and one more opportunity is given to the state to go for customization. So they can customize and can use the database. So this is how we have standardized the whole process. We have integrated the whole state. We are now going to use the database. Now, very small thing once again, the next phase will be to go for a video surveillance. But video surveillance, we will be adding one more feature which I would like to know to this August gathering, that we will be going to the facial recognition system also, by which even if an object is moving, we will also select the target and identify whether he's a terrorist or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. I will now request Mr. B. Ramesh, IDP CRPF.
I have not a PowerPoint presentation as such, but a picture point presentation. Because I do respect the right of all of you, all of us, the Indians, to understand where the challenges comes, because I do believe that unless a good diagnosis is there, there cannot be a good solution. And in the name of good diagnosis, a lot of water is being allowed to flow under the bridges of Ganges or many other rivers. And the need of the hour is to deliver in order to get back the credibility of the government, of the people as well as the government. To start with, of course, I will try to confine myself with the 15-minute mandatory time. I will try my level best. And to start with, the discussion that went together was talked about criminal tracking system, general observation about the 9/11 and others. To start with, I would like to start with an equation which is known for changing the whole world. E is equal to mc square. I have another equation, that is S is equal to, I just developed S is equal to mv square. Where S is equal to service, M is the man, E is the efficiency and efficacy square. When we have the efficiency and efficacy, which are not merely force multipliers, but service multipliers, at the end of the day, the delivery of the service has to be felt by the consumer, not by the producer or by the marketer. We are here perhaps to make a venture to know each other from the government as well as from the industry point of view. And I for one believe that in a democratic developing country like India, there is nothing called private sector, everything is one sector, that is people sector, not the government sector alone. With this, I just wanted to go ahead with this. The major challenge that comes to India is, as Mao Zedong was also saying the other day, so many decades ago, the encirclement of the cities by the villages. And this is the place where the Honorable Prime Minister also told the internal security. Only yesterday we lost 16 men in Dantewada. And Dantewada is not very far off in terms of both space as well as time as in today. These are the places where most of the metropolitan cities are covered with umpteen types of security challenges, both from mafiacy and that's what I said. We need to have an I to the power of 4 to challenge the IMQ. The IMQ is the combination of Indian mafiosi, Indian Maoists, and the third one, the Indian mafia. Indian mafias and Indian mujahideen. These Maoist mafias and mujahideen concept, which is having a great collaborative attitude in terms of arms and ammunition, in terms of security, in terms of chasing of the software and hardware, sharing of the hardware, has to be tackled only by I to the power of 4. The I to the power of 4 means idea and implementation. I means you or I the biggest I means India. And that's where the IMQ can only be, this is where the challenges come to us. These are the places which the major areas. I will not go into this. But only thing is, I would like to tell you today, my colleague, my friend, and a very eminent Indian administrative officer, for which we are all proud of, the entire batch is proud of, Suresh Kumar from IIT Madras, has been instrumental in devising the most up-to-date kind of service delivery system in his capacity when he was in police modernization, when he was Joint Secretary in Home, as also now in Central State Relations. We are proud that IITs and IIMs have produced such outstanding civil servants. This country is safe, no doubt about that. But Telangana is such an incident which has been created. Of course, Hyderabad will have some kind of problems which we need to take into account about our own, because after all, Hyderabad is also the center for excellence of smart governance, e-governance, and NISG, and also so many public sector and private sector giants. The challenge is on both sides. In other words, we need to have matchmaking, we need to have customized solutions to the emerging problems. Unless you as a diagnosis of the problem are not aware of the basic challenges of the problem, your diagnosis will be only pushing off your product, which may not be suiting it may be putting a round stick in a square hole. These are the areas which, of course, there are challenges. These are the red corridors, and red corridors covers the mineral wealth of the country as well as the tribal capitals of the country. And it is not merely a kind of a small plan. It was a very well devised plan, and it can only be tackled by a counter devised plan. Some of us speakers were quoting about Ahmedabad. Definitely, they took 10-15 years to track this man. It's a great feat of excellence in terms of putting the hardware and software, no doubt about that. But of course, what is not known to many of us, which should not be known also, there's a tremendous amount of intelligence which went into it. And that's what the mind training also need to be taken care of. That's what I will talk a little bit about video analytics. I was the other day, I'm right now taking training in SAS, and SAS has developed video analytics also. There are 350 muscles in the body, in the face. And now the tracking of the criminals at the airports are also analyzed by this. And we can use these kind of cameras free of cost, almost free of cost, and major junctions, and predict exactly where the Mujahideen or the Maoists or the other some kind of terrorists are going to track. So what is required is dedicated manpower who are technically savvy, who enjoy the job. And that's where the requirement is all. If you leave it only to government servants, only for technology, then it won't be happening. The country needs such kind of juxtaposition of the interests of you, because if India survives, only Microsoft India survives. If India survives, all your private sector giants can survive. So this is the requirement of the area. Let us not keep all the eggs in the baskets of the politicians or the political parties. We as technical, we claim ourselves as the third largest technical manpower of Satya Nadella is from Andhra Pradesh, who heads the Microsoft. And such kind of great talent, CDOT is there in the country. There's so much of availability of talent existing in the country. We need to juxtapose and connect it and deliver. And lot of things, as I'm not a Marxist, but one saying of Marx enrolls me very well, because I'm from, like say, Suresh, we both come West Bengal. Philosophers who have been busy in interpreting the world, the real need is to change it. Deliver or disappear. That is the mantra. I studied MBA from I'm Calcutta. I do teach at Ahmedabad. Most of you are from management. You know this better than me in case of its importance. We have got so many things. I built the models. How to save the Jharkhand. Now this is not the place to discuss with this. But sufficient it is, please understand this diagram, which is the most important diagram if you want to understand the real security challenges. You have to concentrate on this moped. Things are silent in Delhi. Why AAP is doing so much better in Delhi? Why Gurgaon, in the places where a lot of high-rise structures are coming, nobody bothers about who is coming. I know people from the Dantewada come and work here. Do we require a blast in Gurgaon to awaken us? Or do we have any kind of preventive? Perhaps I always told the same CIAA conference which I last year addressed in a similar gathering. I requested the organizer, this is a separate organization, I will request them also. This kind of organization, this kind of things shall better be done in areas which suit these solutions, rather than in these centers of convenience and comfort. Because the need of the hour is to drive us from the comfort zones which we ourselves have been keeping in and allowing these Maoists and mafias to play havoc with Indian life. That's where the requirement is all about. This is how the cities, I have just in a pictograph I made a diagram here. How the cities, our LNT city centers are all being encircled very closely, very systematically. The man whom we encountered and killed in September 26th in 2011, called Kishanji in the jungles of Midnapur. He was the man who had the audacity to say, I will unfurl the red flag and address the people of India from the Red Fort in 2030. We finished him off in 2011, that's a different issue. But there are so many Kishanjis. His own position was taken by his own brother, Gopal. So these are the things which need to be understood. This is how the encirclement goes. It's a systematic theology. It's a systematic ideology. I developed a 7-step concept to edit this. I said, there are 7 steps which are important, which I gave it a Sarigama Padani. Idea, data, knowledge, wisdom, standard operating procedure, ideology, and religion. If you allow an idea to become a religion, it may take 50 years or 500 years. Like Maoism, it took 100 years to become an idea to ideology. It's difficult. Frankensteins you create, you need an Einstein to decentralize or to decline or to dehumanize a Frankenstein. And Einsteins are very less in number. They come in once in a millennium. This is the dead body of the man who had dreamt of addressing the Lal Killa of India in 2030. That's how this history and all that, these are the things which they do. It took 25 crores to build the bridge and it took only 250 rupees to blast it. And that's how the things are. We need to have a technology which, after all, what do you mean people want? The people who want from us. People want minimum security. What is security? Security is to have a feeling of going what Mahatma Gandhi said, that at 12 hours in the night a lady can go. That's what security is all about. Security doesn't mean only hard guards. लोहा लकड़ में रखा है क्या है? लोहा लकड़ के पीछे चलाने वाले दिमाग में गोबर भरती है, गोबर भरा भरा. So it's not that by merely hardware and putting up some AK-47s here and there, some cameras, you collect 1 lakh data pieces per day, but the man who can't understand that. What happened to this Kasa fellow? He was there somewhere, he was around. There were incidents, there were human problems, there were problems. So all of us, it's our responsibility. Let us not share, let us not throw the blame. Government will do. Government means what? You are the government. Government doesn't come from New York. East India Company चल के चली गई है, वो 65 years ago. हमारी कंपनी चलती है. राम हम और आप है government. So we need to come together. This is the good beginning. I appreciate this, and I appreciate the people who have called us here. All of us are from the central government services, from the Indian Administrative Service and Indian Police Services. Thanks to Sada Patel, these 2 services are essential for maintaining the steel frame and going. And you join us. It's not a question of any ego problem. I said whenever there is ego, there is no go. Whenever there is no emotion, there is no motion. And we need to curb. First of all, we should come out, remove all the gaps of intelligence of things. This is how it happens. This is how very easily a train can be blasted. It's not that they are not blasting because of the fear. It is because they don't want. 140 fellows died very easily. That's how the terror is not to take advantage. Terror is only to create terror. This is how the buildings are all converted. This is how the so-called national highway can be put a very big bomb, national highway, which so many people are in charge of things. This is how the bombs are kept. And very easily done. Not at all any difficult job. This is how AP, we all talk about AP model. Because time is not running, I have to rush out. But let me tell you, when Bill Clinton visited AP in 2001, when Chandrababu Naidu was the Chief Minister, Chandrababu Naidu tokenly gave him one driving license, just to show it off. It's a show off. But the other day when I visited Greyhounds as well as the AP APA Academy, I was really felt and I salute AP police. Accident took place, immediately in 1 second they have the PVD or public data, they could find out this vehicle was registered in this fellow's name. One accident took place 3 o'clock in the morning in front of the Rajiv Gandhi airport, and they traced after 1.5 months, they traced the fellow just by one small evidence. That shows the dedication and the professionalism of an organization put up when it is challenged. So when Maoists are challenges, let us take it as a threat, not let us take it as an opportunity, not as a threat to make ourselves. Let us use Maoists as white blood capsules so that the immunity system in us grows and to come to the best of superlative excellence in the world. We don't need America or FBI to kill or to control the Maoist or menace. We are enough. And if we achieve this, we can teach Americans also about that. Because after all, the problem is ours, the solution has to be ours. This is how we lost 76 of our men on 6th April 2010. We lost 16 yesterday. But the point is, some armchair speculators create a lot of criticism as if the SOPs are not followed. It's all not correct. SOPs are all followed. Just because you have a right to know, because you pay the taxes from which the money comes to the salary of funds. I am just respecting your right of information. And in that process, I am informing you that the incident that took place was a valor, was an extreme. We know that we are going to die. The real valor comes when we know that you die, and yet you go to the call of the nation. That is the valor. And that our men displayed, and we are proud and we salute them for that. And we lost 76 and we lost only 16. The numbers are coming, the numbers also indicate what is tangible is only improvable. We do understand this basic symptom of management. This is how the dominance comes, this is how the vacuum is there. There are also many things we are also going for. These are all agencies nowadays. But we are also into NTR, we are also into Indian Air Force. We want to have the surveillance systems. We will utilize all that because internal security where it originates, that needs to be controlled. Similarly in Kashmir also we have, I just will take 2 minutes time. I just example you how we control Kashmir. We also put, because these are the 2 challenges in the country, 3 challenges. Kashmir, Northeast and LWE. Northeast is a very old problem. I just discussed about LWE. Now I just within 2 minutes I cover Kashmir. These are the areas which the Kashmiri people are there. These are the terrorist organizations. And how they use, how these are the types of ethno-terrorist organizations, where the threat comes. This is how they use the cyberspace. Now where to use the cyberspace? You have seen, in fact, I link, somebody asked me, why 28 MLAs were selected in Delhi? I said it is not an incident of isolation. It happened because it was happening throughout the world right from 2009. When in Tunisia it happened, when Egypt it happened, when in Libya it happened, it is going to happen. And it will touch the urban area first. Anarchy or whatever you call it, Syria is suffering. So this anti-establishment feeling expressing itself as an anarchical mode is going to put what all we achieved for the past 50 years back down. This is what some multinational companies want us. This is what some multinational companies want to push their useless, rejected projects so that our government agencies will buy them. This is where we as Indians should see to it, India's problems, Indian solutions. That's where even inside, we are the persons who man Google. We are the persons. हमें Google नहीं, Goggle भी चाहिए तो अच्छा Goggle से हम परेशानी problems को हम समझ सकें. These are the cyber. We know that how the cyber crime, how internet is used. We all know. I'm just finishing. How the cyber crimes, how children are being used. I have no incident wherein 11 years old boy was paid 10,000 rupees to throw a grenade on in Sopor on my Canva as well as on my voice. We arrested that fellow because we kept this camera. Very 350 rupees camera only. I've got, whenever I meet you on occasion, I'll show you. It's a really demonstrated case. It was broadcast the whole world. So a 350 rupees camera can be used to track, but we did not send the boy to the jail. We did not want to create any Yasin Bhattal. Technology should go with humanity face together. As Einstein and Lord, as our father of the nation also so eloquently proclaimed, science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. So we need to club this together. We need to understand, because after all, Yasin Bhattal was asked, in Karnataka I was told, Yasin Bhattal wanted to go become a police officer. Somehow he was not. Police constable, that's what, maybe, I'm not sure how reasonable it is. But I understand that if you give the aspirations a scope for the people, after all, हमारी जिम्मेदारी है अब्राहम मैस्लो के साथ अब्राहम लिंकन को लिंक करें, ताकि governance lose the least the best and self-actualization of each individual is given a space to realize that in a democratic framework. This is all these things are there, and we can find out solutions. We have the excellent people of experts in IT in this country, and this is how we can use the systems that are there. And nowadays, because software is very easily available on open platform, I was trying to learn SAS. My instructor told me, sir, there is a system called R system which is available free. So we can go by this, whatever is free, and we need to train our people who are very enthusiastic. This is the youngest nation, we have an advantage of that. If you leave the young people, they will go to the malls. If you put the young people towards this, or mal means malice. And if you want to save the mals and malices, you need to bring them to manuals. What are the manuals? The computer system manuals. Give them a challenge, they will come out. The country has always 5,000 years history has proved is the best. It gave the best brains right from Adi Shankara to Chadi. So these are all the things. How do we go about? There are the steps. How do we go about? This is the algorithm which we made. Promoted cyber computer ethics, convince the government of legislation, prepare investigation kit, establish server stocking. Sharma server stocking about beautiful, excellent system. That is how the same system which I will try to tell sir, that the same system was followed by AP police to detect that undetectable case. Now we have an organization like the CBI and the CRPF which are already. We can bring with the establishment of our talent available, link up, establish and deliver. At the end of the day, a well-detected case is equivalent to, is better than 1,000 hours of useless patrolling. If you correct, if you find out, and Indian police is capable of that, let me tell you, because Indian criminals know that. Whether other citizens know it or not, I am not aware, but Indian criminals are aware of this. Because we spent 25 years in policing, we know. But only thing is we need that platform, and you people can contribute that platform by your own, your own exhibitionism, your own exhibiting of your role as a Samaritan good citizens. Yeah, this is what the forensics are there, and these are the people who are the terrorist groups who are experts. If a terrorist is an expert in cyber mentality, we also need to be there. And you people kindly come forward to us. I would request Microsoft and others to go free of cost offer your training methodology to policemen. If a policeman guards you, if a SHO is known, if a SHO knows how to operate, you are safe. Don't view government as a buyer, government as a protector. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thanks, Ramesh, for your interesting review. And I now request Rohit to give a presentation.
Guests and invitees, a very good afternoon. I represent a company called Nice Systems. We provide solutions that capture and analyze transactions and interactions to provide you insight and gain impacts in real time. Our solutions enable organizations to improve business performance, increase operational efficiency, prevent financial crime, and of course enhance security and safety. Within the NICE security group, we provide solutions for law enforcement and government agencies in intelligence and public safety. We endeavor to make the world, of course, a safer place by providing innovative security solutions. We take pride in delivering solutions for securing our borders, our cities, our vital assets and infrastructures, as earlier mentioned in the discussions, which are detrimental to the economy and safekeep of the nation. In view of the topic today for this session, which is about technological framework for safer cities, I would like to draw your attention on how web intelligence can be used to contribute on this effect. Web intelligence is also commonly called as open source intelligence, or the cloud as you see on the slides. In specific, putting the focus on safe security solutions for cities. This technology can provide a contributing, and I would say more of a supplementing factor to your city surveillance infrastructure already in place and proposed for fusing further data into it by maintaining public safety and law and order. It can monitor social issues such as safety and security of women, violence, crime. It can draw inferences from sentiment analysis on public opinions, on issues in regard to civic amenities, infrastructure, law and order, for example, as well. You can monitor civilian unrest and of course also mitigate these. Whether it could be dharnas, bands, demonstrations, and so on. This can also be used to detect threats, as the Honorable Chair also mentioned earlier about Boston attacks. Here is an example which shows pre-attack tweets that could be extracted and collected from the cloud itself. You can also identify new targets, people who could be handlers, and of course predict any ongoing events in real time, in all dimensions of time, I would say, which is predominantly before, during or after. The cloud is a green field for intelligence to actually be just waiting to be harvested actually. Today we know that social habitats have migrated to the cloud. The cloud has become our office, our storage warehouse, our social playground, our everything. Social networks today hold digital maps of our social ties, our interactions, and our relationships. This means that we can fully comprehend a person of interest, a subject, a target. We can fully comprehend a target's social ecosystem just by analyzing that subject's social networks. Our web-end solution called SecureIT is specifically developed for law enforcement intelligence organizations. It is a holistic web-end tool that harvests open sources and extracts intelligence from social network analysis and semantic analysis from blogs, forums, chat rooms, and other websites. We basically include two functionalities. One is called the collection, the other is the analysis, of course. Collection refers to harvesting information from both the surface web and the deep web. Surface web is the main area of open source. These are news sites, search engines, blogs, and those kind. And deep web are restricted areas or private areas where you require login credentials to access them. These could be social networks like the Facebooks, the Twitters, the private chat rooms or closed chat rooms that we would call, and so on. When we talk of collection, we use dedicated and customized crawlers to harvest information and content from virtually any website or any service in the cloud and anywhere in the globe. This means that you can acquire content generated outside our national borders because open source has no boundaries, no rules, no regulations. I would also like to add that along with this harvesting of information from online sources, you can also integrate your existing databases, be it of criminal records, as mentioned earlier, CCTNS being very predominantly today, case files, which could be in Word format, Excel formats, or PDFs, call data records, for example, as well, transportation records, like the Vahan and the Sati that we are already working on, the LPRs, etc. Now, when these get integrated into the CITA system, there is a mutual enrichment of what is collected online with what is available from these databases. How that is happening is that we perform textual analytics on these records or files and make the information searchable. Talking about analysis part, we provide analytic web models for investigation of topics, targets, news sites or news items, and public opinion. Each web model includes predefined procedures and investigation methods that simplify the overall usability and user experience. For example, if you talk about target investigation web model, you can extract a target's social ties. You can look at his geolocation over time and also generate all the content that he has posted online. You talk about news sites, you can see highlights of discussions, hot topics, trending. Talk about public opinion, you can see again talkbacks that are trending into the social networks and people who are mostly influencing and dominating these public opinions. We also provide you powerful analytical engines. Talk about semantic analysis, for example. This generates interpretations and relationships. Entity extraction generates from large volumes of unstructured text an address, a person's name, or even a type of weapon. Another example is the name processing engine, which can help match a person's name in multiple phonological systems. So, be a name written in Hindi, Tamil, Chinese, Urdu, Pashto, or whatever, the system will be able to match and track it. We also have what we call as the social network engine, which extracts metadata from all known social networks like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. This processes this metadata into structured web models. These web models enable comprehending the enormous social network arena using intuitive dashboards. The dashboards present summarized information such as most active users, most active groups, hot trending topics or hashtags, discussions, and geolocation data. NICE offers dedicated and context-based tools that are 100% intelligence oriented. Our tools are designed by intelligence professionals for intelligence professionals, and these are customized to handle cyber intelligence and cyber defense challenges faced by the new world today. I thank you for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you. We have the last presentation from Prem.
Good afternoon, friends. I'm just going to make a small presentation. This is regarding perspective of CBI investigation and e-governance. Initially, I had planned a bigger one, but I'll try to concise it. Basically, first, as most of us might be aware, basically CBI, it is the main organization in India which started dealing with cybercrime investigation, and so far we have almost handled more than 5,000 complaints. We have dealt with, I've mentioned here most of the crime types that we have dealt in recent past or we are doing. We are basically nodal agencies for getting information from different countries, intelligence from different countries, and basically we are also nodal agencies for requesting assistance from different countries, and also similarly for any outward communication regarding cybercrime or any other information which is sought by investigative agencies. Basically, CBI is a nodal point for suggestions of law enforcement agencies for cybercrime conventions and dialogues. We also maintain close ties with government organizations like Search-In and NASCOM, DSI, etc. We are also nodal agency for investigation or defacement of government websites. In recent past, we have cracked many cases, but I would just like to highlight certain challenges that we have faced in cracking these cases. One of the most challenge that we have faced is of this high internet connectivity. Now, as per recent survey, there are around 2.4 billion internet connections worldwide, and keeping a track or tracing, that's a really big challenge for us. Linking persons to IP address, we can easily link IP addresses, but linking the actual pointers with these IP addresses is a difficult issue. I would like to just highlight few case studies that we have done, just to make a point at what e-governance agencies or implementing agencies should be aspiring for. We have done certain cases in which nowadays, since we are moving towards computerization, we are moving towards automation in various industries, in various services. Like say, some time back we did a case in which some person went to Australia with a ATM card, and that was of a nationalized bank from India, and there he presented that card, and basically there was no money in that in his account. But when the ATM card, the machine POS point of sale that contacted the server of that bank, he gave the information that there are not sufficient money in his account. But later on there was one interconnecting server connecting that visa thing with the bank account, and he flagged the message that basically that particular bank could not be contacted. And in Australia, basically, in case of such emergencies where the bank could not be contacted, basically they allow the to the holders of the card to withdraw certain amount of money. And in that case, that person withdrew around 3 crores within a span of 2 months. So that was a really important case, and this highlights basically the kind of coordination that we need in different basically servers, the different agencies that are dealing with such kind of financial transactions. Basically, we have done certain RTGS cases in which basically nowadays different banks, different even private banks and other organizations, they are hiring operators, they are hiring persons for taking the job of optimization or in fact doing the data entry. In a certain case, we found that the persons who was actually authorized for doing the transaction, authorizing the transaction rather, basically he gave the PIN number and the password, login, etc. to a private person, and he did all kind of hanky-panky on his behalf, and in that way probably they siphoned around 2.5 crores within a span of 3 months, and we cracked that case and we arrested those persons. And in fact, we arrested the person who was basically the government servant. But the point I wanted to emphasize in this is basically, since we are moving towards optimization, various e-governance projects or various optimization projects are being carried out nowadays, we must have certain provisions, we must have certain mechanisms, we must have certain safeguards to ensure that the things are done in right perspective. We should have persons, we should have maintain a proper chain of persons, proper chain of command, so that the person who is actually doing the job or any other person who is authorized by that person doing that job, he is held responsible, he is accountable for that particular task. Otherwise, as we see, the amount of mischief, the amount of money involved in such activities is magnanimous. Similarly, there was a case, it was related with the check truncation. In check truncation, in this also, basically same thing. That was a particular bank. The money, the check went to for clearing to a particular thing. The person who was responsible for clearing that amount, basically he changed the name of the beneficiary account number, and money in fact went to some other account number. At the final stage, he again corrected the account number so that the trail could not be found. But we investigated that case, and we in fact arrested the accused ones. And in this case also the same thing. Basically, there was no mechanism. The person who was authorized to do the transaction, basically he had some private person were hired on his behalf, and they did all the wrong work. Similarly, same was basically there was an income tax case as well. The point that I wanted to emphasize with these 2-3 small case studies is that nowadays, again, since we are moving towards automation in various private industries as well as government industries, there must be a mechanism to check, to test, and to make the persons accountable at various level of commands. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. I guess now all the speakers have given their presentation. I thank all the panelists for this enriching session. Now I'll request Shri Sanjay Sahay to give away the memento to. Okay. I'm very sorry. As session chair is not there with us, I request audience if they have any questions.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Murli Rao. I want to have a question. First of all, thank you very much for all the panelists for your presentation and also the efforts being made so far in our field. Me being a citizen of India, I want to ask you. I have been hearing this kind of CCTNS for the last, I think, more than a decade. Still, my critical observation among the project, among the presentations given by the speakers is that if X is there, it can be done. If Y is there, I am talking about only CCTNS, not for any other. Suppose if the one state database is allowed to transmit to the other state, then I can track it better. So like that, many people have said. So me being a citizen of India, when can I expect that I have a good foolproof CCTNS system so that we can track and give some kind of a better, whether it is a tracking system or whether it is in a proactive based or reactive based, when can me be as a citizen of India can say that I have or India has a good CCTV system which can track the culprits in writing. I think this is, I've been hearing for the past 10 years, I hope so. And I hope whatever the infrastructure made, whatever the framework made, I hope it is going to be, I think in present scenario, it might be absolute opposite. Anyone from the panel can answer this. Thank you very much.
Okay. I had the privilege of being the nodal officer of Madhya Pradesh, so I was associated with the project called CCTNS. The CCTNS is the third project for policing in country. If I really go for a history, then it was basically CCIS which started. Then we discontinued CCIS. We have started the project called SEPA, discontinued, and now we have come to CCTNS. Now your question is when the CCTNS will come in shape and when it can deliver the fruit. There are timelines which has been fixed. The first phase has already gone, and every state has appointed a system integrator. The system integrator is responsible to set up the whole system, including the hardware, even to all police station level in entire state and the union territories. Now, after this, we have got a phase 2. Phase 2, where I am involved as a chairman, we have started phase 2 as well. There are timelines, but yes, it has been lagging behind the schedule. But I can expect that very soon we can have a system. Once it is in place, it will be as big a revolution as the revolution in railway. So far as the tracking is concerned, the tracking of the criminal under this system is envisaged in phase 2, where we have a specialized solution called NAFIS. Under the NAFIS, we will be enrolling the fingerprint of each and every criminal or arrested at the police stations, and those enrollment will be digital. It will be sent to the national repository at SCRB, wherein we will also have the state database, and there by which we will be tracking the criminal. So, exact date cannot be fixed, but very soon we can have, maybe in next 1 year or 2 years, we'll have the system in place. Thank you.
CCTNS started in the year 2008-9 financial year. We are in the 6th year of the CCTNS. As of now, in the first phase, most of the states are onto what is known as the core application software. It has a centralized planning, decentralized execution, and this whole process works on large basket of facilities in which core application software is the main. Core application software you have for the center and you have the core application software for the states. What Government of India is interested in is the core application software of the center, which will run simultaneously across the country. We have a backbone which is nearly put in place, and a couple of states like Karnataka, AP, Maharashtra, they have the broadband networking in place. So those are the states. We have 5 advanced states. These are the states which will lead the way, and in a phased manner the integration will take place. There is no denying the fact that we have already crossed the 5-year timeline, which was concurrent with the 11th 5-year plan. But we are in the process of going live, and if you want a ballpark figure, and if things move in the right direction and real effort goes from the system integrator, you might still find a problem of 1 or 2 ifs here and there, but those ifs will remain. Dependencies remain, there is no denying that fact. Presumably, I think in another 2 years from now, we should be in a position to deliver whatever you have been talking about. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Director of Disaster Management from IT University. My main question is for Dr. Ramesh as well as Mr. Sahay, that I'm mostly interacting with the anti-ministerial operation using satellite data, and I'm working with the CRPF, BSF as well as Greyhound, and so one thing I just want to ask, that in your presentation you have mentioned that good diagnosis means good solution. I just want to ask that our recent attacks in Dantewada, where 70 people recently, 10 people have been killed, where are the shortcomings in diagnosis?
Thank you very much for the kind attention. I am very happy that you are doing research on this highly relevant topic. It's a genuine research outputs from people like you who are going to add credence to the efforts of all the stakeholders. Now, you asked about the diagnosis, where the failure of the diagnosis. The point is, when you diagnose a problem, you take the patient to a separate condition. You take him to a particular hospital, you put him in isolated condition, you unnerve him, and then you do the diagnosis. In a social environment, this is not the case. While we are diagnosing the anti-national forces are not stay put, they are not silent. They are also doing. So it's a question of war. They call it as a people's war. It will be in our interest to know that the name of the word people's war came from the magazine which was the CPI magazine in the 1940s, when they used it to float against the British. That's what the word comes from. So the concept of people's war is keeping war into the minds of the people. As Victor Hugo said, it's the war that is minds of the people that needs to be repaired. When I said that the diagnosis is because the diagnosis not merely the prevention or containment. The strategies hitherto has been more on containment. The strategies has been more on knee-jerk reaction. Let there be a knee first, then only there will be knee-jerk reaction. If the knees itself is not there, what kind of knee there should be? First is that. Second answer is, it's a holistic solution. Security doesn't mean only AK-47. I always said, अगर 1947 ठीक रहता, शायद AK-47 की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. तो इस सिलसिले में भी आगाह करना है. सिक्योरिटी कॉन्फ्रेंस है ये, तो साथ वो भी कॉन्फ्रेंस की जरूरत है कि मोबाइल कॉन्फ्रेंस, बैंकिंग एंड फाइनेंस, हाउ टू एम्पावर पीपल. Andhra model was successful. Most of you might have heard of Andhra model. Andhra model was successful not only because of greyhounds and SIB. It is because of the tremendous amount of other non-security inputs which contained and integrated. So what I said is, I mean an integrated diagnosis, an integrated solution. A partial diagnosis can only be helpful to a medical company to push its products. An integrated diagnosis preconditions an integrated solution. A well-researched integrated diagnosis per se, vox populi, vox dei, compel the so-called decadars of the systems of governance to work for us. That's what I want to say.
For example, intelligence gathering, whether by ID people or the CRPF people, based on the satellite data, on the thermal sensors or the optical sensors, are we not...
I'll address this. Very precise question. I'll also give a precise answer. See, satellite penetration till now is not the level of NASA. Our satellite penetration, we have encountered, we have come across with good networking with the other people also. Our existing ISRO and others. No, let me complete. Just because there was some discussion. Now, the satellite pictures that we take are only pictures when our satellite goes to the baby. It is not that just because. See, when an SOS comes to us, and a challenge comes to us, we don't wait for an SOS for a ISRO satellite clearance. We are people to train. We are trained to give our life as well as to sacrifice, our comfort for the people. That's why intelligence is a very old saying. Every Tom, Dick and Harry who sit in comfort zones has got one favorable stick in his hand. I would request these Tom, Dick and Harry to come and stay one day in Dantawada in jungles, then they will understand what is the jungle like this. Very easy, madam, to come and stay. Intelligence failure, halana what, timka nahi. My boys are doing a great job. We learned our lessons. It's not that I am appreciated. We learned our lessons. That's why things are coming down. I am not here as a spokesperson of the CRPF, neither MHA. I am only telling you, I am only respecting your right. For you, for us, our Indian Army, our central military, our CPFs are doing a fantastic job. They need their support, your support. And you criticize them, definitely, we will take. We welcome the criticism. But let that criticism be contributory towards excellence, not merely pulling out and walking into the hands of these anti-national forces who drop themselves as human rights activists and whatnot. Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Gautam from a company called Business Alliance. I'd like to pick up the theme for integrated solutions, and for much of this plenary panel has been talking about labeling and identification tags in one form or another. Now, identifying the cyber criminal, just generally as such, is in itself perhaps a challenge to what you're trying to do. Of course, you will invariably just tackle those who are to the surface, those who are easy to tag, those who are easy to label. When you talk about integrated solutions, is this what you mean? And if so, if you're going to be looking at the cyber criminal, there are three very different sort of categories out there. One is the terrorist, and that could be motivated through poverty, value-driven, spiritual, religious differences, unfairness of an economic system, political differences, or indeed just the mischief of a very clever young university student who is educationally siloed and intellectually challenged. Now, with that in mind, if you're talking about integrated solutions, how do you address cyber security when the issues are so much deeper below the surface?
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind observation as well as a very precise question. When we talk about integrated solutions, the strength of our country is its diversity. It's not in homogeneity. Long back, there used to be a journalist called G.K. Reddy who was excellent in Hindu, who used to write. And he wrote one word, he wrote one sentence which I remember. Unity should not be in uniformity, and diversity cannot be in diversification. We are working in an environment wherein the diversity is a stay-put factor. You are talking about political differences. It's an emerging nation with 1,600 languages, with 3.28 million square kilometers, and so many languages about that. But what I'm saying is, integrated solutions, what I mean by that is, we are the best in some areas, and we can take the best outsource from other areas and integrate it. And please understand, ultimately at every point of the level, at the cutting edge of our governance is our revenues district, at the cutting edge of governance is the police station. At that level, people should have more credibility, they will come. And this integrated solution comes when the entire systems work together and there is a SWOT analysis at every point of time, every day, 24/7. That what the enemy is not stable, he is not staying together, he is not, the enemy means the rival. I will not say enemy, enemy is a very wrong word. We are a democratic environment, so I won't use the word enemy, he is a rival. If we are going to the management parlance, we are selling a product, that is governance. That fellow is selling an India, new democratic revolution. The people have to choose it. Now if my product is superior, if Colgate is superior than Pepsodent, people will go for Colgate. 24 karat gold do not require a PR. And hence integration solutions, we need to do it because we run the government, we are the government, and people is the government. And hence people need an integrated solutions, and we are capable of that. Only thing is, there is a need of coordination at every level, and that requires your contribution also, sir. That's what I mean to say. And it is possible, sir. It is not at all an idealistic or ideal portrayal or something like that. It's not, we are not taking some utopia. Absolutely possible. Railways system, as sir was pointing out, railway reservation is a system. There used to be a lot of corruption in railway reservation. Today there is no need. That's a great system. This country only displayed. Bank frauds immediately being detected, despite so many private banks. Liberalization, when independence is given, CBI, when factors favor, excellent work is done. So, it's possible, sir. I am hopeful, as an Indian, I am hopeful that we are moving towards excellence, and the days will come where our country will be number one, by 2047. That's my dream. Thank you, sir.
Would you mind if I respond to that?
The challenge, I suppose, that just from an outside point of view, is that the discussions are very much around public policy and what governments can do. My understanding is that there's real need now to look at what corporate responsibility is and what corporate responsibility can play in partnership with government and public policy to really impact this whole area of cyber solutions. Would you, and would the panel, agree with that?
Let's start with your first question. In a democratic country, we have the right to differ on most of the points, finally ending to a solution which is unanimous both in thought and in execution. So starting with that, I for one, I do not subscribe to something what you call as an integrated solution. Integrated solution is certainly a mirage. It is certainly a final goal, it is the vision. So all of us are moving towards that. What NSA has been doing to the world, I think all of us know. So that is an integrated solution. Other solutions have bits and pieces of lot many structures, lot many pieces, technology, from policy, advocacy, to your last point, all these things get integrated into what you call a solution. Now the jigsaw puzzle which you are trying to put it in place, from policy, advocacy, to governmental structures and the governmental roles which you have in this country. You start from NIC and the policies which we lay, certain DSCI, we got slightly into the non-profit organization, NASCOM side also. And finally extending the first lap is the policy side. Next lap is whatever the governmental organizations are doing. Next we come to NASCOM and DSCI and organizations of that nature. And finally move on to the private sector. Now, first and foremost, you need a blueprint as to in which direction we are moving. We talked about in the anti-Naxalite operation also, there's something like an integrated diagnosis. But do we have an integrated diagnosis in place or not? Do we have our Patriot Act in place or not? Do we have an NSA policy in place or not? So until unless we delve deep into what our requirements are, who the stakeholders are, and how these requirements will be met by these type of solutions. I think that will be the first step to proceed further. Thank you.
Any more questions, please? So let me have, on behalf of the chairman, it has been directed to me to wrap it up. It has been a very thought-provoking session. Not many case studies based on experiences in country and outside have been narrated. A lot of new concepts have also been said, but yes, the government policies have also been mentioned. Yes, to have a safe city, we have to have the robust system which really works round the clock, track the criminal, deliver the result, and whichever field, maybe in the disaster management, maybe in the criminal identifications, wherever it is, it should work for us. So all the speakers, they have been very, very consistent, and yes, they brought out many enlightening experiences. Thank you very much, and I sincerely thank all the gentlemen who have really shown so much of patience in hearing us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all the panelists. Now I request Dr. Ravi Gupta to please present mementos to our esteemed panelists. To start with Mr. Sanjay Sahay, Additional Director General of Police, State Crime Record Bureau, Karnataka. Mr. R.C. Tayal, ADG, Sashastra Seema, and Shri Purshottam Sharma, Additional Director General of Police, Bhopal. Dr. B.N. Ramesh, Inspector General of Police, Director, CRPF Academy. Shri Prem K. Gautam, Superintendent of Police, CBI. And Mr. Rohit Bhambri, Director, Cyber and Intelligence, NICE Systems. Now I'll request all the panelists for a group photo.